Hello, everyone, and welcome to our lesson on effective use of pausing. It's time for us to begin our lesson, so when you're ready, come on into the Hangout and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's see. Let's give a warm welcome to Salvatore. Salvatore, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi Carissa, I'm fine, thank you. And you? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. It's great to have you again for class today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Salvatore, tell me about your weekend. How was your weekend?
It's good. Yesterday I went to see a concert where some bands that song uh, cover bands. Cover bands. Yes.
Cover bands. Ah,
Yes.
so it was a music concert.
Yes. They play the rock music, teacher.
Oh, so you like rock music.
Yes, I like it. And
Okay.
when I listen to music in English for to practice my English teacher.
Oh, awesome. So you like to sing as well.
Yes.
Ah, okay. All right, very good. So the concert that you went to, was it an indoor concert or was it an outdoor concert?
No, was out concert in the park, teacher.
Oh, did you have a nice sunny day or was it at night?
Yesterday it was a sunny day in Italy, in Milan.
Oh, that's
But
perfect.
today it's raining a lot.
Oh, well, good thing the concert was yesterday and not today.
Right.
Well, well, very good, Salvatore. Thank you once again for joining us. I want to go ahead and welcome your classmates.
Yes.
Um, all right, very good. So I see that I have Max. Hello, Max. How are you doing today?
Hello, Carissa. Very fine. I hope you too. And
Yes, I'm doing well today. Thank you.
I'm very happy to be here with all of you. I see that there is another Italian guy, Salvatore from Milan, and I am from Turin in this moment, very near, very close to Milan. And I'm very happy. In Turin, there is a sunny day in this moment. And
Okay.
okay, I'm ready to go.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, as a part of our warm-up, I'd like you to tell us about your weekend. How was your weekend?
First of all, the quality of sound is not so good, but I try to understand what are you saying, and my weekend is very great. Thanks a lot. There were heavy rains, but even I walked a lot. My two dogs, my little
Mhm.
babies, and I enjoy doing this very much. And then I went to go shop as well as usual in the weekend, and all is right.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds good. Sounds like you had a nice weekend as well. But it doesn't sound like you went to a concert. So you did not go to a concert this past weekend?
Um, uh, uh, Carissa, probably it's better that I hang up and I try to re-enter into the classroom just because the quality of sound is terrible. Okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I try immediately.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Um, Salvatore, are you able to hear me okay, or are you having problems hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you well, teacher. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So it's not my connection. Okay. All right. Thanks, Salvatore. All right. Let's see. Let's also welcome Hussein. Hello, Hussein. Welcome. How are you
Thank
today?
you, Karisha. I'm doing very well, thank you. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Doing good.
Uh,
Thanks.
Good.
So, okay. So it's your turn. Tell us about your weekend.
My weekend was good. I didn't do a lot of things. I just studied English and Spanish, and I was home. I went out with my friends. And yeah, it was a relaxing weekend. I didn't do a lot of things. I read books. I studied. I went out. Yeah, I slept. I ate. That's it.
So just the basic things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, well that sounds good. That sounds good. Well, my weekend was pretty interesting. I went to a sign language meeting or seminar on Saturday, which was nice. So I got a chance to practice my American Sign Language, which I hadn't done that in a while, so that was really nice. And I did some shopping. It was time to upgrade some of my electronic devices, so I was able to do that this weekend. I always
Good.
I always have buyer's remorse.
Women likes to buy new things, right?
um, well, I think everybody does. I think it comes.
But I think women like it more than men do, I think.
Well, that could be true. I don't like to make major purchases like this one, like I did this past weekend very often. I like to keep my money as opposed to spending it often. So, but nonetheless, it was time for two purchases, so I needed to do that. And but otherwise, it was just a really nice weekend. I actually did get to sleep a little bit um, on Sunday, so that was nice. All right,
Yeah.
very good. Okay, let me check back with Max. Max, how's the sound? Is it better?
Hello, Carissa. Now is better. Thanks a lot. Now is better.
Oh,
I
good.
have changed the connection with
Uh-huh.
my from the cable to the wireless to another connection, and now it's better. Thanks a lot.
Oh, good, good. I'm happy that you're able to hear a bit better. Great. Okay, guys. Well, today, and for those of you who are viewing and maybe have not joined us yet, if you're able to come on into the Hangout, we'd love to have you participating. Okay, guys, so today we're going to talk about pausing, and we're going to talk about pausing effectively in your day-to-day speech and also in your reading. Okay, so let me do a screen share, and we're going to talk about why it's so important to pause. We'll also talk about what it means to pause. Okay, now I'm going to do a brief activity. I want you to listen carefully to what I say, to what I'm reading, and if it doesn't sound right, I'd like you to tell me what you think is wrong with what I'm saying. Okay? All right, so listen carefully. Make complete stops at appropriate stages of your delivery. At times you may pause very briefly or simply allow the voice to fade momentarily. The pause is appropriate if it serves a worthwhile purpose. Why is it important? Proper use of pausing is an important factor in speech that can readily be understood. Pausing also makes important points stand out. All right, now I read that very clearly, of course. What was the problem with what I just read?
No pause, teacher.
Okay, right, there was no pausing. And I found it hard to breathe because I did not pause when I read. Now, did you understand what I read? Was it easy to understand?
No.
Okay. Hussein, did you understand clearly what I read?
If there were no text, I wouldn't be able to understand, I think, because you read it very fast, like you didn't stop.
Right.
Then it was difficult.
Okay, now imagine if English was not my first language. Do you imagine how that would sound?
Most probably, yeah.
Right, right. So when we're learning other languages or practicing to improve our speech and our reading, you can see why pausing is very, very important. Okay, now I'm going to read that again, and I'd like you to tell me if it's a little easier to understand. Okay, so listen carefully. Make complete stops at appropriate stages of your delivery. At times, you may pause. very briefly, or simply allow the voice to fade momentarily. The pause is appropriate if it serves a worthwhile purpose. Okay, so Max, tell me, was that better or was that worse?
I think it's better, but I think obviously you are trying to teach us in which way don't use the pauses. In fact, now I can understand what you are reading, just because before it's too fast to understand. But I think that this is not the normal use of the pauses. Like in the normal speaking, the pauses are appropriated when we use it, when we need to use it. And then I think that you are use the pauses between all the words, and this is not the normal way to use the pauses.
Excellent. Great explanation. That's right. So there is a method to my madness. Okay, so what you read and what you say is not easily understood if you do not pause. However, if you pause too often, then it also makes it very difficult for what you say or read to be understood. Okay, guys, what do you say you give me another chance and I'll read it again? Will you give me another chance to read it properly? All right, let me try it again. Okay, here goes. Make complete stops at appropriate stages of your delivery. At times, you may pause very briefly or simply allow the voice to fade momentarily. The pause is appropriate if it serves a worthwhile purpose. Why is it important? Proper use of pausing is an important factor in speech that can readily be understood. Pausing makes important points stand out. Okay, very good. Okay, Hussein, tell me, was that better or was that worse than the first two times?
Yeah, I think it was better.
Okay. All right. Now tell me, what did you understand from what I read? What was the point of what I read?
The point is to stop sometimes. To explain yourselves.
That was great.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. So, yeah, that's right. So you want to stop sometimes. Now, according to what we just read, what I just read, when are you going to stop? Hussein?
At appropriate stages.
Good. Now, when you stop or pause, is it going to be the same length of time or the same impact every time?
No, I don't think so, because it says to fade momentarily. If it serves it says the pause is appropriate if it serves a worthwhile purpose, and especially, no, I think it didn't say a time or something, but I think the main point is that you need to stop for a reasonable time. Like if you read something very long, you sometimes need to stop. You should stop sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
Very briefly, maybe. You may pause very briefly.
Yep, that's good. That's good. All right, well, let's keep going. Okay, I think we're getting the idea of pausing and why it's important. So, yes, in a nutshell, it has to do with how often and how long you stop for when you are reading or speaking. All right, now, here is another paragraph. Now, I want you to listen carefully, because part of understanding how and when to use pauses is based on what you see down at the bottom. You're going to listen carefully to well-qualified speakers and observe where they pause and for how long. Okay, so I'm going to read the next paragraph. Okay, listen carefully. It says, in speech, properly placed pauses are important. This is true whether you are delivering a discourse or speaking with an individual. Without such pauses, what is said might sound like babble instead of clear expression of thought. Appropriate pausing helps to impart clarity to your speech. It can also be used in such a way that your main points will make a lasting impression. How can you determine when you should pause? How long should pauses be? Okay, now, as you are listening to me read, I want you to tell me when you heard me pause. Okay, so I'm going to leave the text up on the screen, and I want you to tell me, I'm going to start with you, Salvatore. When did you hear me pause? When did you notice that I paused? Uh-oh, Salvatore, your microphone isn't on.
Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, great.
Maybe I'm not sure, teacher. Maybe after comma and point.
Ah, good. Okay, so let me type that here. After commas, and we call those points periods. So after commas and periods, that's right. Okay, all right. Max, did you notice that I paused at any other times besides after commas and periods?
Well, I think that also probably you have to put some pauses when you need to do it. For example, if in a part of the speech there is some very important, and then you have to put our attention on this part, you can use the pause. For example, how can you determine when you should pause, and then use a pause to keep the attention in this point, because this is a focal point, and then I can use the pause, and also you. Yes, of course. Thanks a lot. After question mark, for example, but I think that it's really important during a speech to use the correct pauses and long pauses or short pauses, and it depends on the speech itself, and in which kind of the speech you are. Because I think that a monochord speech is very boring, and if you need to keep the attention, for example, of a classroom, or if you are in during a business meeting, it's very important to keep the attention, and to keep the attention on you while you are talking about something. The pauses are really important.
Okay, very good. Now, Max, I want to draw attention to the fact that you just spoke for about 1 minute and a half, and you used pausing effectively. Excellent job. You did a very nice summary of what we just talked about, Max. Good. That makes me feel good because I see that you're understanding. Beautiful job, Max. All right, now let's go ahead. Let's talk specifically about punctuation. Okay, now the one question was, how can you determine, how long should pauses be? So let's take a look at different punctuation marks, and here it gives us some indication of how long we should pause. Okay, now let's just briefly read through these. I think there are just maybe just 3, 6, maybe about 9 or 10 of these, but these are brief, and I think they help us to make the point clearly. Okay, so Hussein, how about we start with you? Can you tell us about the period, the comma, the semicolon, and the colon?
Okay. Period indicates a full stop. Comma usually requires a slight pause, as more text will allow. Semicolon marks a pause milder than a period, but stronger than a comma. Colon introduces a list or a quotation. It requires a pause, but without a drop in inflection.
Excellent job. Okay, so back up to our reading. Whenever you come to a period, based upon this information, how long are we going to pause for? Are we just going to lightly allow our voice to drop, or are we going to come to a full stop, Hussein?
After what, Carissa, sorry?
After a period.
Yeah, after a period we need to give a full stop. Like we need to wait for a while.
Okay, good. Okay, now you're not going to wait, a whole 30 seconds or a whole minute.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be abusing your pausing rights. It's just like when you maybe in traffic. I'm not sure if you have these types of lights, but sometimes there's a flashing yellow light, okay?
Mhm.
And you need to just pause briefly just to look both ways, but then you can continue through the intersection. Okay, but of course, when you see a red light, you have to come to a full stop. Okay, if you don't do it, then you can get a ticket or you can cause an accident. Okay, it's the same thing with your speech. Okay, now even Hussein, when you read about the comma, now there is a comma and a period in that sentence. Okay, can you read that again and then follow the rules again about the comma and the period?
Okay. Usually requires a slight pause as more text will follow.
Beautiful. Okay, I noticed a difference the second time. All right, when you came to that period, you slightly paused, and then you continued. Okay, again, you don't want to pause for too long because then your listener will think that you're finished, as if you're at a full stop. Okay, all right, very good. Now let's talk about other points of punctuation. Okay, let's see, Salvatore, can you tell us about the question mark and the quotation marks?
Exclamation point, silent strong feeling tone, question mark, usually requires that the sentence be read in a somewhat higher tone or wide rising inflection. Question marks, again, teacher.
Yes, continue.
Question marks or may indicate that the enclosed words should be set off with pauses. Very slight if a part of text, stronger if a full statement.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's talk about that exclamation point a little bit. Okay, so it says that it signals strong feeling and tone. All right, so if you are excited about something, okay, now Salvatore, you told me that you went to a concert this past weekend. Okay, now I'd like you to listen to the comment. I'm going to repeat that comment, and I'd like you to tell me in which statement I've used an exclamation point. Okay, so if you were typing what I'm saying, in which of my statements would you use a exclamation point? I went to a concert this past weekend. I went to a concert this past weekend. Okay, in which of the sentences did I use an exclamation point?
The second, teacher.
Okay, the second one. All right, now if I say that, I want what I'm saying to stand out. So what am I going to do after I make that statement?
Sorry, teacher, can you repeat, please?
Yes. If I tell you that I went to a concert this past weekend and I'm excited about it, what am I going to do after I tell you that I went to a concert? What am I going to do?
Sorry, teacher, I don't understand. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Let me ask one of your classmates to see if they got me. Okay, Max. After I tell you that I went to a wonderful concert this past weekend, what am I going to do?
For example, I can use another sentence like, and it was great on something else. Okay, an adjective about the concert. And probably I have to use, of course, during the first sentence, the exclamation point. Something like this.
Yeah, very good. Yep, and there's one more thing that we need to do. Hussein, what do you think I should do? If I'm reading a sentence or I'm saying something that I'm excited about, what should I do right after I say it?
Okay, you should stop for a while.
Yes, that's it. You need to pause. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let me show you what not to do. I went to a great concert this past weekend, and it was wonderful. It rained. We had a great time with friends. Okay, my excitement gets lost because I did not pause. Okay, now listen to it again. Guys, this past weekend, I went to a wonderful concert. It was great. Oh, goodness. Okay, so if I pause, now you're waiting for more information. I'm building anticipation for what I'm saying next. Okay? All right, it's the same thing with a question mark. And I'm going to go back up to the top. Same thing with
Teacher,
the
sorry.
question. Yes,
Can
please.
I make a question?
Yes, please.
If the concert I didn't like, for example, can I say what a shame,
Yeah,
right?
you can. Yeah, you definitely can.
Okay, I
Okay, now,
understand now, teacher.
okay,
Okay,
now,
thank you.
now try it, Salvatore. Try it with a pause afterwards. So tell us that you went to a concert, but it wasn't good.
Yesterday I went to see a concert, and I saw cover band, but they didn't play it well. What a pity.
Good. Right. Okay, excellent. So you pause and then you can continue talking about why. Okay, so I might say as well, I was looking forward to this concert. The artist is one of my favorites, but he really did not perform well. It was really a shame. Okay, so there was actually a pause before I said it was really a shame. Okay, and that builds anticipation for what you're going to say next. Your listener almost is forced to ask, well, why? What was wrong with the concert? Did something happen? Okay, so they want to actually learn more. Okay, now it's the same with
Okay.
questions. The very same with questions. Okay, so there were two questions at the beginning or at the end of the first section that I read. Okay, so how can you determine when you should pause? How long should pauses be? Okay, now the same thing. You want to pause after a question mark because it allows your reader to think about what you've just said or what you've just asked. Okay, now this is the same. If you want them to respond, you want them to think about it. Okay, so you want to pause a moment. All right, and even if you don't want them to respond, if it's a rhetorical question, same idea. Okay, so it gives people a chance to think about what you're saying or about what they need to answer or how they need to answer. Okay, good. So let's go back to our punctuation and let's just finish it off. Okay, so I think we are up to Max. Yes. Okay, so Max, tell us about dashes and parentheses and brackets.
Of course, dashes, when used to set off words, usually call for a slight change of tone or pace. Parentheses and brackets may isolate words to be read with a slightly lower tone. Source references in parentheses do not need to be read, and the brackets words that are needed to complete the sense of what is read do not require a change in tone.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so dashes, you may not see them as often, but you will see them. In fact, in our practice reading that we're going to do, you will see a dash. Okay, so there, you're just going to make a slight pause or a slight change in your tone, but you're going to keep reading. It's not a full stop like the period. That's always a red light. Okay, you always have to make a full stop there. Okay, your parentheses and brackets, as it mentions here, as you're reading, practice reading out loud. And when you come to parentheses, you just want to change your tone a little bit. You are going to slow down just a bit, but just change your tone and continue to read. Treat it as if it was a comma. All right, now let's take a look at an example. Okay, so we do have a bit of reading, but first we're going to do a dialogue. Okay, so I'm going to put a full stop here. Okay, so we're going to do an interview, not a dialogue, but an interview. And I want you to try to implement what we just learned about pausing for correct punctuation or at punctuation marks. Okay, in this reading, you're going to find question marks, periods, colons. Let's see, what else? Okay, that's it for this reading. Oh, an exclamation point. Okay, so remember how and when we're going to pause. So let's practice it. Okay, so for the questions, let's see. Let me go back up. Get back to you. Okay, so Hussein, I'd like for you to be the interviewer. Okay, so you're going to be the one that asks the questions. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Now, for the first paragraph, I'd like Salvatore to be the interviewee. So you're going to read the paragraph that follows the question. Okay, Salvatore?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, so let's begin with the first question and the first paragraph.
Hello, Salvatore. How
Mhm.
did you realize that you were in danger of developing diabetes?
When I had a medical checkup for a new job, the doctor told me that I would soon be diabetic if I didn't take urgent action. I had 4 factors against me. I was from a high-risk ethnic group. I had a family history of diabetes. I was overweight and I didn't exercise. Since I couldn't change the first 2 factors, I decided to try to change the last 2.
Oh,
What did you do?
okay.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, very good. Excellent job. All right, now let's try the second paragraph. Okay, Hussein, you're going to continue as the interviewer, and this time, Max, you're going to be the interviewee. Okay, let's continue.
What did you do?
I went to a diabetes counselor who explained the relationship between diet, exercise, body weight, and diabetes. I determined to change my lifestyle. I began eating 2 portions of vegetables before the rest of my meal. That made me less hungry for the less healthful items on my plate. I also became more physically active. Sometimes I had neglected for years.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to make a switch. Salvatore, you're now going to read the question, and we're going to have Hussein read the answer for us, the very last one.
Okay. How successful were you?
Within 18 months, I lost a tenth of my body weight, and I feel great. I'm determined not to return to my unhealthy habits. Diabetes is definitely not to be taken lightly.
Okay. All right, guys. Now I want to hear from you. How do you think you did with your pausing? Okay, Hussein, I'm going to start with you. How do you think you did with your pausing?
I didn't pay attention to it.
Hussein!
I
No,
don't know.
that's not the right answer.
Did I do correct or not? I don't know.
Okay, I could tell that you didn't quite give the proper attention to the pausing.
Okay.
Right? It shows to your listeners when you do and when you don't. Okay, you do a good job with your reading overall, Hussein. Okay, but I want you to try to challenge yourself and take it a bit further. Okay, now take a look at that last paragraph again. Okay,
Okay.
you see that there are commas.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, now I heard you reading as if you just had the green light all the way through. Okay, now try to implement the yellow lights and the red lights. Okay, and at the end, there's an exclamation point. Now remember, this is
Clarissa,
someone.
even in my native language, I read like that. I don't I don't pay
Yes,
attention to punctuation.
yes, and you know, I see that that happens quite a bit with some of my students. That's the case. And actually, I'm not sure if I told you, but I'm also learning a different language. I'm learning a
Yeah.
native Indian language in Costa Rica,
Oh.
and
Okay.
the reading
Mhm.
tone is just that way. It's a bit monotone. Um, but in English, we do have to pay more attention to it because it really changes the meaning of what you say. All right, so try it again. Now remember that this is a person who um, did not allow diabetes to overtake them. Okay, they've taken some positive steps, they've outlined them, and they're giving emphasis to that here in the last paragraph. Okay, so guys, I'd like for us to try the reading one more time. Okay, so given the background of this passage, I'd like you to try it again. Please pay close attention to your commas. Okay, don't do a green light all the way through. All right, let's try it again. This is what we're going to do this time. We're going to switch off the interview and interviewee role. Okay, so for the first question, I'm going to put that here. For question number 1, I'm going to ask Salvatore. I'm going to ask Salvatore to ask that, and then the paragraph for the first one. Let's see. I'm going to ask Max to read that. Okay. Then when you're finished, just give me a second. I'm going to put it all here. That way we can read just right straight through. Okay. So then Max, you're going to read the question, and then we'll have Hussein. You're going to read the paragraph for the second one. Okay. And then when you're done, you're going to ask the question, and then finally we'll have Salvatore read the last paragraph. Okay? All right, guys. I'm going to be listening carefully for your pausing, so let's try it. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me advance the slide a bit. Okay, let's begin.
Okay. Max, how did you realize that you were in danger of developing diabetes?
When I had a medical checkup for a new job, the doctor told me that I would soon be diabetic if I didn't take urgent action. I had 4 factors against me. I was from a high-risk ethnic group. I had a family history of diabetes. I was overweight, and I didn't exercise. Since I couldn't change the first 2 factors, I decided to try to change the last 2. What did you do?
I went to a diabetes counselor who explained the relationship between diet, exercise, body weight, and the diabetes. I determined to change my lifestyle. I began eating 2 portions of vegetables before the rest of my meal. That made me less hungry for the less helpful items on my plate. I also became more physically active, something I had neglected for years. How successful were you?
Within 18 months, I lost a tenth of my body weight and I feel great. I'm determined not to return to my unhealthy habits. Diabetes is definitely not to be taken lightly.
Guys, I noticed a huge difference that time. That was a lot better. Excellent job. Okay, now let me tell you the effect that it has. Okay, in the first paragraph, let me just scroll down a second. Give me just one moment. All right, in the first paragraph, um, Max, you when you got to your colon, okay, you did a pause. You made a pause, and then as your listener, I could tell that you were going to list a few things. You did a wonderful job. You paused sufficiently after each comma. At your periods, full stop. That was great. Excellent job. Okay? Hussein, wow, that was night and day different. Excellent job. Okay, now you also had a list of things, and because you paused appropriately, I could definitely capture or understand the problems that you had and the effect that they were going to have if you didn't do something about it. Okay, good. Okay, and then Salvatore, in the last paragraph that you read, that was great. I like the part where you said, and I feel great. So you paused after I lost 1/10 of my body weight, and I feel great. Okay, that was believable. Okay, good. Excellent job. Okay, guys. Let's try it again, not with this reading. We're going to try it with a bit of a longer reading. Now, I want to try it with a longer reading now because this is where this is the real test of your pausing. Okay, and you can try this even on your own. First, start with a shorter passage, read it out loud. Have someone listen to you to check your pausing. Okay? When you read longer passages, it requires you to focus and pay attention a bit longer. All right, very good. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to read paragraph over paragraph. Well, not we, you. You're going to read paragraph over paragraph. Okay? When you finish a paragraph, you're just going to stop and the next person will continue. All right, so I think we are good here. Let me just make sure that my paragraphs are divided properly. Yes, they are. Okay, very good. Well, let's go ahead and begin our reading. Hussein, can we please begin with you? Once Hussein is finished, then we'll continue with Max, and then finally we'll have Salvatore. Okay, let's begin. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
sh-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
should
sorry.
I read on where should I read?
I'm gonna.
Okay, that one.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll tell you in just a second. I just wanted to make sure my paragraphs were. Okay, we're going to start right here at the top, the incidence of diabetes.
Okay, I should read until what's diabetes?
Okay,
I should ask the question.
read until the end of the paragraph, until it says all diabetes.
Okay, okay. The incidence of diabetes mellitus is increasing so quickly that it has become a global epidemic. There are two major types of diabetes. Type 1 starts mainly in childhood, and presently doctors do not know how to prevent it. This article is about type 2, which accounts for about 90% of all diabetes.
While in the past it was seen as exclusive to adults. More recently, type 2 diabetes has also been affecting children. Expert claims, however, that the risk of type 2 diabetes can be reduced. A little knowledge of this insidious disease may prove helpful to you.
What is diabetes? Diabetes is a condition that causes a person to have an excessive level of blood sugar. The disease upsets the normal process of transferring sugar from the bloodstream into cells that need it for energy. The result is damage to vital organs and impairment of blood circulation, sometimes leading to tooth or foot amputation, blindness, and kidney disease. A large proportion of diabetes patients die of heart attacks or stroke. Excess body fat can be a major factor in type 2 diabetes. Experts believe that fat accumulated in the belly and waist may indicate a higher risk for diabetes. More specifically, fat in the pancreas and the liver appear to disrupt the body's regulation of blood sugar. What can you to do reduce your risk?
Very good. Okay, Hussein, please continue. Start from 3 steps and just read until the end of the first step.
Okay. 3 steps that may reduce the risk of diabetes. Have your level of blood sugar tested if you are in a high-risk group. A medical disorder known as prediabetes, a condition in which blood sugar is moderately higher than normal, often precedes type 2 diabetes. Both conditions are unhealthy, but there is a difference. Although diabetes can be controlled, it cannot yet be cured. On the other hand, some prediabetics have been able to bring their blood sugar back to normal levels. Prediabetes may have no obvious symptoms, hence this condition may go unnoticed. According to reports, about 316 million people around the world have prediabetes, yet many of them do not realize it. For instance, in the United States alone, some 90% of prediabetes sufferers are unaware of their condition.
Beautiful job. Okay, Max, continue with paragraph 2. Actually,
Sorry. Yeah. Pre-diabetes is not harmless, however. Besides being a precursor to type 2 diabetes, it has recently been linked to an increased risk of dementia. If you are overweight, not physically active, or have a family history of diabetes, you might already have pre-diabetes. A blood test can tell you if you do.
okay, very good. All right, and let's see. Let's have Salvatore. Can you continue with choosing healthful food?
Choose healthful food. You might benefit from doing the following whenever it is possible and practical. Eat smaller portions than usual. Instead of sugary fruit juice and carbonated beverages, drink water, tea, or coffee. Eat whole grain bread, rice, and pasta in moderation rather than refined foods. Eat learner meats, fish, nuts, and beans.
Okay, all right, so good. So eat leaner meats, fish,
Leaner
nuts.
meats.
Very good.
What is it? Sorry, teacher. What is leaner meats?
Okay, leaner means meats that have less fat. Okay, so there are cuts of meat or pieces of meat that have a lot of fat on them, and you will see that it actually has a lot of fat. But leaner meats, you have a lot less fat on them.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, Hussein, back to you. Last paragraph.
Stay physically active. Exercise can lower your blood sugar and help you maintain a healthy weight. Swap some TV time for exercise time, recommends one expert. You cannot change your genes, but you can change your lifestyle. Doing what we can to improve our health is worth the effort.
Okay, guys. All right, very good. Very good. So I could hear in your reading that you were paying attention to the different punctuation marks and your pausing was accordingly. All right, now let's take a quick look at a couple of things. One, I want to talk about the dash. Okay, let's take a look at it here in number 2 where it says choose healthful foods. Okay, let's take a look at this part right here where it says okay, so eat whole grain bread, rice, and pasta. All right, now you can see that in moderation is offset by 2 dashes. Okay, remember when we talked about that earlier, it adds helpful information to what we say. Okay, so you don't want a full pause there. So you simply want to say, eat whole grain bread, rice, and pasta in moderation. rather than refined foods. Okay, so that's how you would read that. Okay, you did an excellent job reading that though. Okay, here you also have the colon. Okay, so you might benefit from doing the following whenever it is possible and practical. Pause. Eat smaller portions than usual. Full stop. Okay, excellent job. I want to go back up to the top. There was another dash. Let's see, let me go back up to that top. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this sentence. And I want you to tell me why you think this dash is here. Okay, Max, can you tell me why that dash is there, the two dashes?
I don't know, let me check a moment. A medical disorder known as pre-diabetes, a condition in which blood sugar is moderately higher than normal, often present. Okay, I think that in this case is because there is something like more information into the phrase, into the sentence. The writer is giving us more information, and then the sentence should be a medical disorder known as pre-diabetes, often precede type 2 diabetes. And then into the two dashes, there are an explanation of this condition. And then he is using the two dashes instead the commas, for example, because it is a part, it is another sentence, okay, put in the middle of this to give us some information.
Okay, beautiful job. Okay, so now our point today is how do we now read that information? Okay, so you're right. The information that's between the two dashes gives us additional information. Okay, so this is how it should sound. A medical disorder known as prediabetes, a condition in which blood sugar is moderately higher than normal, often precedes type 2 diabetes. Okay, now, Hussein, did you notice when I paused in that sentence? Let's see if Hussein is still here. Okay, he isn't. Okay, Salvatore, did you notice when I paused in that sentence?
After dashes, teacher.
Yes, after both dashes. Okay, so actually, right after I said pre-diabetes, I paused. I added the additional information, and then right after I added the information, I paused again. Okay, remember we said we were going to pause for emphasis. Okay, so that information is important because it defines pre-diabetes. Okay, so that was very important. Okay, now I want you to try it, Salvatore. Read that same sentence and pause in the proper places.
Okay. A medical disorder known as prediabetes, a condition in which blood sugar is moderately higher than normal, often precedes type 2 diabetes.
Good. Okay, your pausing was great. Okay, excellent job there. Okay, now right after moderately, that word is pronounced higher. Higher. Right, higher.
Higher. Okay.
Good.
Higher.
Right, good. So it often precedes type 2 diabetes. All right, excellent job, guys. Okay, well that's basically our lesson about our pausing. Okay, so today we defined what pausing is, and as Hussein mentioned, it means to stop at the appropriate places in your sentence or in your discourse. Okay, so sometimes you're going to come to a full stop, okay, when you're using period, question marks, exclamation points, and sometimes you're just going to pause momentarily as when you come to commas and when you come to dashes. Okay, excellent job. Okay, now your homework assignment, should you choose to do any homework, will be two things. Okay, you're going to listen to Someone speaking in English. It could be maybe a YouTube video or a friend who is a native speaker of English. Listen to where and where they pause and for how long, okay? So take note of that. And then also try to do a reading like we did. Okay, first try a smaller reading, a shorter reading, and then try something longer. That will really test your endurance for pausing. All right, very good. Well, guys, that's going to end our class for today. Hopefully you benefited from our lesson on pausing. Please look out for my future classes. I'd love to have you back. And if you would like to take a one-on-one class with me, you can book that right on the Verbaling website. All right.
Thank you,
Well,
Carissa.
you're
Thank you very much.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Bye.
welcome, Max. Have a
See
great
you.
day, guys. Bye-bye.
See you.
Thanks a
Bye
lot.
bye. Thank you.
Okay. You're
Thank you.
welcome. So the class